What if I told you that what began as a missing person case actually became so much more? Come with us as we peel back the layers of each and every single essence of this case and dive into uncovering the truth. I'm your host, Bryan.
I'm Justin.
And this is Covert Central.
Cheers, man.
Cheers. Episode 2.
Episode 2. All right, so peel back the layers, man. Take the onion out, break it down. Tell me about this case.
So, Alex, Robin, and Devin are a family of 3.
Okay.
On the surface, they have everything going for them. They're happy, life is good. But what seemed really good actually became a nightmare.
Uh-oh. Okay.
So Alex is at home waiting for Devin and Robin to get home from soccer practice.
Is this like in the middle of the night? It's on a weekday, weekend?
It's a Wednesday afternoon.
Okay.
Now, Devin and Robin are usually home at around 5 o'clock.
Patternistic.
Patternistic. Okay. So 5 o'clock rolls around, nothing. Not a phone call, not a text. So Alex is getting a little worried, but he knows that maybe they stopped for dinner.
Could be traffic, could be dinner, could be anything. So
could be anything.
At this point, kind of cautious, but nothing really setting any alarms off.
Right. So then 6 o'clock rolls around, and 7 o'clock rolls around, and 8 o'clock rolls around, and nothing.
Okay, at this point,
Alex is frustrated. So what does he do? He files a missing person to...
This is at 8 p.m. already?
Yeah, this is at 8 p.m.
Because it's very characteristic of the family to show up after 5 o'clock.
Right.
Okay.
So he files a missing person to the police.
Okay.
Right? The whole night goes by and nothing.
Okay.
So it's a real critical time to find out what's going on.
Of course.
Alex gets a phone call, right, from one of Devin's friends.
And when does that phone call happen?
The next morning.
So, like, what time?
Like 10 in the morning.
So this is already, since 5 p.m. happens, they don't show up. Around 8 o'clock, they do the missing person. And then the following morning, he gets a phone call from a friend.
Yes.
Okay.
From a friend that also plays soccer. And it's that Devin and Robin are gone. They split.
Okay.
Why did they split? Because apparently Alex was abusive.
Oh, okay.
Right?
How did the friend know this information?
So Devin actually told the friend.
Ah, okay.
To relay the message to Alex.
So now this is kind of like the key source of any information, because it's kind of like we have nothing, and this is the only thing we got right now is this phone call where they say, look, this is Splitsville, this is going on. Now where do you go from there?
Exactly. So Alex came to us as a last resort.
Okay.
As like a Hail Mary, like 000 left on the clock, and just trying to find anything he can to get back his kid, right? So we did a social media background search right away, off the bat.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook,
everything.
Twitter, everything. Okay.
Everything. A deep dive,
okay.
Right? And we were able to find out that the family went north.
How did you find that out? How did you get that information?
Through social media.
Okay.
She was part of a religious group.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and like a very sketchy religious group.
So kind of culty.
Kind of culty, but I wouldn't say that about
it's a cult,
any religious group.
Of course not.
Yeah.
But they have tendencies that are cult-like when they're like that.
Right.
Okay.
So we were able to deduct that it was going to be 5 states. Right.
You narrowed it down to the 5 states.
And it was 5 states north. So we found out that they had family up north.
Okay.
In one particular state. So we honed in on that state.
Okay.
Now we have a really good lead.
And now you can narrow it down to like just that state.
Right. With a cult.
Okay.
Right. Religious group.
Okay.
Right. So the challenges of this case, and I think that was a question that you and I had spoken about before. Yeah. The challenges of this case was that this was in the most extreme rural area you could think of.
Small town USA.
Small town USA, but you're thinking of trees engulfing the area that are 20 feet tall and full of bushes. So good luck trying to infiltrate something like that.
And if you don't know these kind of areas, it's kind of like you're throwing a needle in a haystack, because the homes are several acres large. There's trees everywhere. There's not a lot of street lights at night. So you're working from sun up to sundown. But once the sun goes down, you're pretty limited. Right?
Oh, yes, you're always limited. There's always going to be limitations to the things that you can and can't do on an investigation, but you got to try and overcome that. And on this particular case, we use drone surveillance.
So like actual drones that go up in the sky so you could get the aerial view so you could see kind of what you're working with.
Correct.
Okay. Very cool.
In this state, it was legal to use drone surveillance.
Right. It's not legal in every state.
So we had to, the objective of this case was to identify where they went and if they were actually there,
Okay.
Robin and Devin.
Right. So you had an address, you did your database search, you kind of have like, maybe this is where they could be, but we're going to use the drones to try and get a better idea of what we're working with.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then, lo and behold, after a couple days, they come out of the church, and they're in this playground area, which it's like a circular
it's
little
both of them.
area. Yeah.
Okay. So you now you have both of them identified and you know where they are.
Yeah. So we relay the message to Alex. Alex is like thrilled. Like,
Sorry, is he laden?
yeah, he's like he has something to do. So at this point, we handed over the evidence to DCIC.
Okay.
And what DCIC could do is they could arrest the person who took the child, or they could just get the child and bring them back
Interesting.
to the other parent,
Interesting.
right?
So this is now a wide scope investigation. It's not just one layer. It's not 2 layers, 3 layers, 4 layers.
Well, you're dealing with slander also.
It's also a different state. It's
Yeah.
also different state laws, like you mentioned. So it's a big deal going on right now.
100%.
And Alex is kind of like, not in the dark, but he's trying to figure out how to best play this because there's a child involved. There's slander involved. It's really complex.
I'm going to get into that on the conclusion for sure.
Yeah.
And I do want to touch on how difficult it was for Alex.
I bet.
But long story short, they were able to reunite the child with Alex.
And what was that process like?
The reuniting, we wouldn't know because we handed over everything to the proper
At
authorities.
that point, they're handed off.
Right. We were the fact finders.
Right.
And we did exactly what we were hired to do.
Yeah.
So, in conclusion of this case, I can relate to it very heavily because I'm a father myself,
A new father.
a new father.
My niece.
Yeah. And I have a beautiful baby girl who I adore, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for her. I would
Shout out
run
to
through a
Serena.
brick wall. I would do anything to make sure that she was safe,
Of course.
And as a father, it's amazing to see somebody else like that. And to have a case like that is a blessing because, like, man, I can relate to it on every single level.
Sure, it kind of puts things in perspective.
100%.
Yeah.
And like, this isn't a happy ending because at the end of the day, you're also separating a family. You know, the mother is somewhere else, maybe in custody, maybe not.
Yeah.
But at the very least, she's not seeing her child.
Right. And you could assume that the intentions for the child weren't the best based on her actions that she decided to
Right.
do.
And it's so important to pick your partner, man, in life. If I could teach the audience anything, pick your partner and make sure that that person's the person you're going to stay with. If you're going to have a kid with that person, that's the person, that's your ride or die. And make sure that's your ride or die.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.